Hey there, it's Jessica Dedick, and I want to show you around our PBIS referral dashboard. So what we have set up is a Google form that collects all of the behavior documentation through a centralized Google form that teachers fill out where they assign the grade, the student, the behavior. We have one form that's for both major and minor, and it's just selected within it. And then if you choose the major, you're only seeing those behaviors, and if you see minor, you only choose from those behaviors. And it all goes into one spreadsheet. And what we've done is put all of the spreadsheet into this Data Studio dashboard for us to look at. What you're looking at first is the referrals summary page. It's got all of the information. You'll notice here we have referrals by grade. You have individual student names. If I scroll down a little bit, you're going to see referrals also by month. Now, when you first look at the data set, you're looking at all of the data. And this is a referral form that I've had up for several years. If you actually look, we go all the way back to January of 2018. And you probably don't want to look at all of your data at once when you're doing a quick data check. So if you're going to do a monthly staff meeting, or if you're just checking into your own individual classroom or something like that, you probably don't want to look at everything over even several years, or even maybe not several months. So up here on the top right, you'll notice it says select date range. And from here, I can actually click on specific calendar dates if I want to check. Or if you notice up here at the top, it says auto date range. If I click on that, I have some common choices. So one of the ones that I like to do when I'm doing a monthly data review with the PBIS team is I might do either the last 28 days or the last 30 days, whatever makes more sense for me. And you'll see it automatically chooses the last 30 days. And then I can include today. So if I'm doing it first thing in the morning, I'm probably not going to include today because there shouldn't be any referrals yet. But you can also then modify this if this isn't the right one. So we actually came back on the 11th. And this was yesterday, so this actually works out perfectly. So this is all of the data since we've returned from school. I will also note that none of this data is real. This is all bogus referral form. But just in general, this is how I would work it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Apply. And it's going to show me all of the data just since we've returned to in-person instruction. And now you can see it's narrowed it down significantly. So now we don't have quite so many students that we need to worry about. You can see the students and how many referrals they've received. Now, it doesn't clarify yet if it's a major or minor, but you know that Teacher's Pet has already received 2 referrals just since we've returned in the last 30 days. And then over here, you can see by grade, and if you hover, you can see more specific. So there are 2 different colors here on our referrals by grade. So the major are the purple or the bottom color, and then minor are the pink or the top color for those that have 2. Although the first grade here is still on the bottom because it's the only one it has. And then you can again see the number. If I scroll down here and move my face out of the way, you can see that January had more than February, but we're also only a few days into February. So this is just a great way to sort your data. Now maybe you want further data than that. Maybe this isn't enough. Another one of the choices would be this quarter. So it breaks your year up into 3-month chunks. So this quarter is going to look the same exact as the last 30 days because the quarter starts January 1st and goes for 3 straight months. Now, again, we weren't in person, so I don't believe we had any referrals before that. But if I click on Apply, you're pretty much going to get the exact same data set. But this gives you a good idea of where we are. I was wrong because we did have some while we were remote in this fake data. If I want to then compare it to the last quarter, that's another choice that we have, last quarter, Apply. So now we can look back a little bit earlier in the year to see if there were trending problems that were beginning to happen and compare it to this quarter to see if those behaviors are continuing or worsening or anything like that. So just you can sort your data with that tool initially. I actually do want to go back to all of that data. Just to show you a broader data set. because you're probably going to have more referrals than what I'm demonstrating here. So for example, here, this is the list of the students, but you'll notice that there's only 10 students, but there's actually 30 students total on this list. And if you look down here, you can see that it's only showing 1 through 10 of a total of 30. And if we kept all of them, you'd have to scroll through it. It would be really difficult. So instead, we just have this arrow. So you may have more students on additional pages, so just make sure you double check right here. And then they are sorted right now by record counts, so that the student with the highest number is up at the top. If you click on record count, you'll actually reverse that sort so that the student with the fewest, now you have several with only one because it was just randomly picked. But in case you wanted to see additional information here, we do have the ability to have more than just one page of students listed here. Next, I'm going to take you to the top of our dashboard. You'll notice up here it says page 1 of 4. You actually have multiple pages within this data summary. So I can either click the next page arrow, or I can click on the words PBIS demo summary to see all of the different choices that I have. So I'm going to move on to the next page, which is just the minor summary. Now the menu doesn't automatically go away, so I have to click on it to make it go away. Kind of annoying, but it's okay. Now I've narrowed all of this down into just our minor behaviors. So I told you it was one Google form, and after you choose the grade and the teacher and the student, you then decide was this a minor level behavior or is this a major based on your flow chart. So these are all the ones that were just clicked as minor. And over here, again, this is the whole data set from all the way back to 2018. But you can see our trends of location. You can see specific behavior. Now, my demo referral only has 4 different behaviors just because it's super simple. But you can kind of see the trends here, what the consequence was. So I'm going to move my face over here for a second. So you can see what the consequence was, and then the motivation that we had. Now, again, this is the whole data set, and I don't really want that. I would really rather just get the last quarter to see how we were doing. And I go ahead, click on apply. Now it's going to filter all of these as well. So you can see in that last quarter, which was the October through December, the highest location was classroom. The most frequent behavior was wearing white after Labor Day, and the most frequent consequence was predicting your PACS mission. And then over here, you can see that our possible motivation was to obtain adult attention. If you want to then narrow it down even more, maybe by grade level, you have that choice. So if you just want to focus on, all right, how's kindergarten doing during this date range? So at this point, you're doing both of these filters. So you're still just funneling your data down to that time period, but now we're really just looking at one grade for that one quarter. And you can see that half of them, they only had 2 referrals because it's made up, but half of them are in the cafeteria, half of them are in the classroom. And again, we can focus on what were the exact behaviors and what are the consequences so that we can start to see, is this an effective consequence for reducing the frequency of the behavior? And then what's the motivation? What's causing this unwanted behavior to occur, or at least what do we assume it is? And then again, if you want, you can even then filter it down to an individual teacher, which you can also do even before you go to grade if you wanted to. So if I click this minus sign, it's going to go back to all of the grades. And if I click on teacher there, I can also just immediately find, let's see what Schnabel has. Again, I apologize, my face keeps getting in the way. You can see they're all in the classroom. Here's the behaviors that are being observed. Here's the consequences. And again, then we can start to assess, is this an effective consequence? Is there a motivation that we need to address, and other factors like that. I'm going to move you on to the next page, but it's the exact same idea. It's your major referrals instead of your minor referrals. So you still have by location, you still have by behavior, motivation. This time I did the day of the week because what we noticed was we were starting to see frequencies on Mondays for certain students. Or frequencies on Fridays, so the lack of structure or the change of structure, or sometimes a student would go to one parent one weekend and a different parent different weekend, and that structure change impacted the student's behavior. So then what we were able to do was say, what can we do Monday morning to set that student up for success? So this is why we have days of the week here for purposes like that. But again, this is the whole data set. So I'm going to go ahead and put, let's for this one, let's look at the last 30 days. Go ahead and apply it. And here we have now just the major behaviors within the last 30 days. So again, we can start to see there's an increase on stepping on a crack. And where our motivation is, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are rough right now. And they're trying to avoid adults or obtain adult attention. Again, this is all fake, but it's a great way to kind of really filter down and see where the behaviors are taking place, what time, all of those different factors. And then my last page that I have over here is all of the referrals. And again, this is starting with all of your referrals. So it's a whole entire data set. I'm going to go ahead and right away change that date range. And let's go ahead and do this quarter, just to keep changing it up a little bit. And now these are just the referrals for this individual quarter. The default is to go with the most recent is at the top, but if you don't want to see that, you can click on date and sort it by date instead, so that, I should say, change ascending versus descending. Date range, you can also click on any of these other ones. So maybe you just want to sort it by the grade level, or maybe you want to sort it by the behavior type. So you want your minors all together and your majors all together. Maybe you want to look at the location and have it sorted that way. So you have the ability to click on any of these headers and sort it based on those categories. Same as before, though, you can also click on, so if you have a meeting coming up and maybe you want to go all the way back to the beginning of the year, we're not even, this is the future, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and apply this. So this is all of the data for this entire school year. And I have a student that's, shoes untied. So let's look at that student. And we just want to see this. So whenever we're creating interventions, or when we're coming up with an academic plan, and when we're coming up with a behavior improvement plan, whatever we're trying to work on, we can narrow down that information to just that student and look and see, well, what kind of behaviors were they? We can start to study, where did they take place? What was the consequence? Is this an effective consequence? We can really hone in on that one individual student to make a plan that's going to set that student up for success. So we have this ability as well. Now, when you're done with all of this, if you want to share this information with the rest of your team, with the rest of your staff, or if there's some reason that you need this report, but you don't want all of that data, once you have filtered it, it stays in your personal report. Now, when you refresh the page, it all goes back to resetting it. But right now, this is an actual report with just multiple pages. So if you notice, my sorts are still there. If I go back to the minor, you'll see that it's that October through December. And then if I go back to the main summary page, you'll see that that was where I went all the way back to January. So let's change it from January to, let's go ahead and do this quarter. Like that. So if you want to share all of this information, up here it says share, and I know we're used to that being giving access to something, but if you look at the little arrow next to it, you'll notice that you can download the report. So if I click on that, you have a couple more choices. So all the pages means it's going to give you all 4 pages. Simple. I want to maybe just choose select pages. So if I'm going to give this to my staff, maybe I don't want to give them all the referrals because they don't need to see that in our analysis. So if I just want the summary of overall and then the minor and the major summaries and just leave it at that, I can do that. There are additional options. So I have all kinds of colors to make this bright and colorful and fun to look at. But when I print it, I don't want all of that nonsense. So I'm going to ignore that custom background color. And if you have student-sensitive information, you might want to put a password protect on it to protect that sensitive information. And then, of course, you can also post a link that goes back to the report. So if you are sharing this with somebody and they want to see or manipulate the data, that would be a great option for them as well. Then I'm going to go ahead and click on download. It does take a second to produce this report the way that you have it set, but it will then put it all together into a PDF that you can then print and or share digitally with whoever it is that you want to share it with. And now you see it's downloaded, so I'll open that up in a second. Before I move on to that, I do want to point out I have edit up here because I am the owner of this dashboard. If you only have view-only access, you're not going to see that edit, so it might look a little different at the top, but the rest of the options should be the same. I'm going to go ahead and open this up with my assistant viewer. And now you can see this is the report that it creates. So it got rid of all the extra coloring that's on my dashboard, but you can still see all of my charts. So if I go back up, and again, it's going, so that first page, I wanted just this quarter, so January 1st through March 31st. That second page, I had narrowed it down to the date range of October 1st through December 31st, and we were just looking at that Schnabel classroom data. And then the last one was this current quarter. No, I'm sorry, this is the last 30 days, and this is all of the major information for the last 30 days. And then you can print and share that report with whoever you need to. So that's kind of a look around how the dashboard works, and I hope that was helpful. And I hope this is a useful tool for all of you.